Give me a minute to get this onto Facebook. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yep, I see it now.
All right.
Yes.
Super. Got a lot of windows open, so bear with me as I get through this here. All right. Well, that was our networking session. Usually we have a few more people, so it might have been not as interesting, but everybody here is very interesting. So thanks for sharing. I'm glad we could actually share in the big room, because usually I'm sitting outside of the big room waiting for people to show up, and I miss all this networking. So I appreciate you guys sharing with me. And let's see here. So that was our networking session. I do want to remind you that down in the screen down below where the chat is, you can put your information in, name, company, phone number, email, location, and at the end of the meeting where that little chat is, you can see I've highlighted the little icon here, and you click on that, you can download the text. So you'll have contact information for the people that you met tonight. I always like to say, in memory of Gene Garino, Gene was instrumental in the founding of the RAL Academy and the RAL National Association. He got me involved in this space. He introduced thousands of people to the model of the residential style assisted living. His motto was do good and do well. We unfortunately lost him in 21. And I always invite everybody to go to our website, dollar.com. If you are operating in Colorado, it's imperative that you go to this link right here, the helpful links. You just click on that. And the very first link on there is the chapter 7. And actually, I just updated that today with the 2025 version that they just put into effect about a month ago. So if you're operating in Colorado, you need to know these regulations like the back of your hand, because these are all the rules that you must follow. Chapter 2 is also important. That's more about the building. So on this page, we've just put a lot of links that are kind of hard to find on the state website. We just try to make it a little easier there. There's a lot of other good info on there too. So even if you're not in Colorado, you may find some of that helpful. And of course, we ask you to take a look at our website, our Facebook page, which is Denver ALR. And, you know, we've got right now almost 400 members in that. So please join it and feel free to be social there. We thank everybody for the meetup responses, and we ask that you do give us feedback on the meetings. You know, we always appreciate 5 stars, but we do want you to be honest. If you didn't like it, then go ahead and let us know. If you think there's something that we should bring to the table, we appreciate that input as well. And of course, our website, dollar.com. Let's see, sponsors, that's next. So these are our sponsors, and I'll run through these. We start off with Hall Ryan Construction. With 35 years of combined construction experience, the exceptional team at Hall Ryan Construction has transformed residential and commercial properties by bringing a high-touch, customer-centric approach to every engagement. On the insurance side, Hall Ryan's reconstruction and roofing expertise is a skill that many insurance companies actively seek out. Their reliance on Hall Ryan's experience in helping them write estimates has made Hall Ryan a well-respected, trusted expert in the field. Next, we have Assisted Living Mansion and Brett Chakevas. He's put together a really nice program for a high-end 16-bed model. Also on his website is a great collection of training videos. Most of these are geared to the experienced operators. So if you navigate to palm.university, you can get more information about his program there. Next, we have the RAL National Association. And if you're a member of Denver ALR, you get a free associate level membership of Rawlnut, free newsletter, and free access to the Rawlnut group purchasing benefits. So you can just go to rawlnut.com and sign up there. And if you're new in the space, we recommend the RAL Assisted Living Academy. And we have a link to that on our website. This is basically basic training for running an assisted living. So if you have never done this before, this is the first place I send people to get started. They've got a great program, and they even have a full mentorship program. So good group of people, and they'll teach you a lot. Next, we have assisted living marketing. And with more than a decade of experience, they have customized services for small, large, and multi-location communities. Assisted living marketing is your trusted partner for digital and print marketing in the assisted living industry. And next we have senior care administrator coaching. This is Janet Cornell. Janet really wanted to be here tonight, but she's under the weather. I did let her know we're recording it. Janet does consulting for your assisted living home, particularly here in Colorado. She can provide the 40-hour administrative training, staff training, and employee file compliance and compliant documents. Another thing that Janet does is very important here in Colorado is a mock survey where she'll walk through your home and tell you everything that you would get tagged on if the state came through. And because the state has real heavy fines for something that's wrong, it's much cheaper to hire Janet to go through. And if she goes through and tells you everything and you follow her instructions, when the state comes through, you're going to pass with flying colors. So you can go to scac-janet.com to get a hold of her. Next up, we have the investment community of the Rockies. It's ICOR. ICOR is Colorado's only nationally recognized and award-winning real estate investors association, serving Denver Metro, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, and Northern Colorado, as well as real estate and rental property investors across the state. I've been a part of ICOR for over 10 years. I think it's a great group when it comes to RIAs. So ICOR Rockies is their website. And next we have Colorado's assisted living lawyers. Not only Colorado's, they also do some stuff nationwide, but PinkowskiLaw.com, and they help developers and operators of assisted living and group homes locate and establish your facilities so that they can focus on the business of caring for people. They will act as your advocate or work with your local council to encourage compliance with Fair Housing Act provisions. So if you're trying to increase the number of beds, you're running up against an HOA or even a city that doesn't like the group homes, then they can probably help you using the Fair Housing Act as leverage. So you can go to PinkowskiLaw.com and find out more about them. They've also got a really good blog, the assisted living blog on there. So great information there. Next, we have ABW Funding. This is a group that I'm associated with, and we do the lease options for group homes. If you want to see some information on how that program works, you can go to ralleaseoptions.com, and that pretty much explains the whole program. And also, I am a broker, a business broker, and my group is Grand Avenue Business Brokers at A Better Way Realty. I've got over 30 years of business experience. I've done over 80 assisted living transactions, over 100 million in those transactions. I am a certified business intermediary and certified senior housing investment professional level 2. That's a mouthful. That's a new thing that came out from the NIC Council. And of course, I specialize in assisted living. There's my website. And we've been a little busy. Most of the stuff we're doing in-house. I do have this package available in Eastern Colorado. It's a 15 cap. So, and that's with management in place, still a 15 cap. We're asking $6 million for that. Under contract right now, we got 24 beds in South Denver, 76 beds in Las Vegas, 173 beds on the Western Slope. And under LI, we have 66 beds in Georgia. So if you need any help buying or selling, there's my phone number. If you're just looking for passive investment, you can reach me as well. And we could probably get you into one of our deals. And next, if we had a representative from the Colorado Assisted Living Association, this would be news from Cala, but we don't see anybody here. So they did have their trade show last week, which I did attend, and they're doing great things. I can say that they're working on some legislation right now, which would remove the requirement for FGI approval if you have 19 beds and under and you're trying to increase the number of beds without any construction. Because right now, if you're trying to increase beds with construction, you have to go through this process that takes 4 to 6 months with FGI approval. And their efforts with the legislature and the lobbyists, they have a bill in right now that's going to remove that burden. So very helpful for Colorado. And now we're going to move on. So I met Mike, it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he was putting on an event, and I sat and chatted with him for a couple hours and said, wow, I really think this is cool. Will you come and present this to our group? Because I'm a big believer in AI and I use it every single day. I actually have the pro version of chat, and it's such a great, I don't want to call it necessarily a tool. It's probably better calling it a teammate. So AI is just amazing. And when I see applications that it's being put into, I want to share that with everybody. And Mike's product, what they have is pretty amazing stuff. So with not much further ado, I'm going to introduce Mike Link.
Thanks. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Mike Link. I'm from KamiVision, and a little background on me. I've been in the age tech space, so to say, probably the last 5 years. I helped another company go to market in the age tech space. That's kind of how I found senior living, assisted living, all this I guess hype and explosion of the senior care space. And I think even over the last maybe year or so, as we've expanded internationally, I've realized how big of a need it is, not just in the States, but countries like Japan, the UK, Mexico, where we're starting to go in. So I have some slides to share. I want to keep it super brief, to give you an idea of what KamiVision is doing, both in the age tech space and the security space, and really want to leave it open for you guys to ask questions and at the same time show you the technology so you can kind of see what it is that's out there, what we're doing. So I think, Vern, do I have access to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So if you guys want to take a look at Kami, you can go to kamivision.com. This is our website. So, everything AI vision you could imagine. So everything through cameras, AI detections of people in home, people, in senior care facilities. We also have enterprise solutions for security. So feel free to, check it out, click through if you want to see what we're doing. The other thing here, I'll show my other tab. It's kind of our background. I want to give you some idea of where we come from. So Kami, we do everything through cameras, AI, and our background's in home security. So there's about 22 million devices connected globally now. probably 6.5, 7 million active subscribers logging in on a monthly basis, similar to Ring, Vizint, Brinks, ADT. We scaled really quickly in the consumer market because we came at a lower price than a lot of these other security companies and kind of provided a bit more on the AI side. And this is kind of what led us to the fall detection thing. So imagine you have one of our home securities at home, cameras at home, and your mom falls, and you find out, you can rewind and then go see, you know, how the fall went. But a lot of the consumers we worked with said, hey, how can we get notified that mom is on the ground or that dad is on the ground, right? I'm sure that you guys all have experience with falls in some shape or form, but that's kind of how the fall thing came about. But, you know, we've never taken venture capital, so we can pivot pretty quickly, which has made us agile and able to go into all these different verticals. So some of the things we're doing, you know, are, like I said, in the care space, so senior care, using these AI fall detection cameras, both in senior homes, so skilled nursing, assisted living, independent living, memory care, you know, any kind of care setting, and then also at home. We have the same technology, but for the consumer market. On top of that, you know, we still have our home security business. That's, you know, you can go to the app store and look up Kami Home and pull up the home, you know, the home security thing, and what are indoor, outdoor cameras, people detection, dog detection, package detection. The other thing, which is a little bit new, is our enterprise security solutions. So for retail, for commercial real estate, maybe distribution centers, warehouses, any commercial setting you could think of, maybe even out at nature reserves or parks, something like this. And the reason we've kind of expanded this use case is because we have a 4G solar powered camera. So think anywhere where cameras couldn't go before, now we can put them and use the same AI detections that we were doing, you know, in the home or in other settings potentially. The other two things that are kind of neat, we have a robot dog now that we're giving to the market to do security. So custom solutions for remote security. I'll show you guys what the dog looks like. This is kind of a fun thing. So imagine you could have this patrolling a stadium, patrolling a warehouse, controlled remotely, autonomously programmed. Maybe it can sense people or sense a rack in a storage facility tilting. But really cool technology. I think in terms of like the senior space, eventually what we want to do is program these dogs or, you know, other types of robots to help with care delivery or med delivery or food delivery. As staffing is always kind of a challenge. But yeah, that's, you know, a fun little thing that we released pretty recently. The other thing that I'll share is a smart device. So a smart wearable for health. So things like if the camera that detects falls can't see mom or dad, or perhaps if you're in New York and mom's in California, the idea here is that your mom can wear the ring and you, as the adult child, can see her health and see her sleep, or maybe she can even see her sleep if she wants to be an active participant. And if there's a threshold or a baseline change over time, perhaps it's a spike in heart rate or a drop in heart rate, or maybe the sleep is changing over time, we can notify either the adult child at home. So, you know, Vern, maybe it's your mom, you have this for your mom, or, you know, I have this for my mom, I get notified. Or in a care setting, maybe it's the staff that's getting notified, where, you know, maybe the staff have to go walk around all these rooms and check on people. Now they can see remotely, hey, looks like, you know, Susie slept well this evening or last night, something like this. So I'll pull up what it actually looks like, but the way it works in a facility community setting is that we'll install these cameras, and typically it's a DIY installation. So we'll work with the actual building to install them, and the staff will use this portal. So we're not live streaming, but when the camera itself detects the fall, we have a few layers of verification. So first, we detect on the device itself. All the cameras have an AI chip in it, so the actual camera can detect the fall. We don't have to use the cloud to zoom in or somebody in the background to zoom in, and the fall is detected on the device. Once we detect the fall on the device, we have a second layer of verification. So we have a cloud AI model that gets rid of false alerts. And really the reason we do this is so we're not sending false alerts to family members or to a care staff in the community. And the third layer after that, so maybe the device itself detects maybe 30,000 events, or all the devices we have in the market, 40,000 events. In the cloud, we get rid of 99% of those. And then we have a final verification layer, which let me share here. This is an easier way to switch between tabs here. So we have a human team that actually verifies events and then can say, hey, this is or isn't a fall. Let me go back to this one. I'll show you here. You can see the blurring in the actual portal. So for example, our human team might see this clip, blurred, anonymized, no information. And they're really only going to see this square of the video, and they'll say yes or no isn't a fall. And basically from the time it happened until the staff gets notified, it's about 60 seconds to get the notification. So, from I think it was 400 cameras deployed through one group. Over 6 months, the average acknowledgement time was 4.5 minutes, meaning it took staff, give or take 4 minutes to acknowledge that somebody was on the ground and get there shortly after. So maybe the response time was like 5-6 minutes, which is incredible because typically, they'll be doing their rounds at big buildings, something like this. So the idea is that we can get there as quickly as possible. And when we notify, staff can review the clip, right? So right now you see a blurred clip of the fall, and this is what would come in. But this is because we have the ability to manage who can see or not see the clip. Because maybe you have care staff and you don't trust them to see footage of a fall. You can actually blur it or restrict their ability to see the fall, so that maybe they only get notified and they can't even see a blurred clip. Or maybe you just want to give them a blurred clip in addition to the notification. But you could also give them a clear clip. So you can give them the ability to review the fall on site, see exactly how it happened, and decide, does this resident need to go to the hospital? Did they really hit their head? What really happened? A lot of times what we see is that somebody might fall and not say anything. Like they'll fall and get back up and get back into bed. And what you're seeing here is, it's a 19-minute clip. So what we can do is we can give you the pre-fall and the post-fall footage. I'm trying to scrub to see the fall here, but the value is in getting the whole thing, not just this small 8-second window. So I think he's about to fall somewhere here. Oh, there we go. So he fell right here. And basically you get this whole clip of post-fall. Because a lot of the time in a memory care, they might go to the ground or like fall or something, they just get back up and they forget about it. And you'll have no clue that they fell, they won't say anything. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but we don't want to prevent the first fall. We want to let them kind of have their freedom to do what they got to do, but at the same time want to make decisions to help prevent falls in the future, prevent a severe injury from happening. So yeah, you can get 30 minutes post-fall, 30 minutes pre-fall. The other thing that we built was a bed exit detection. So some of the short-term settings that we serve, and even the memory care assisted livings that want to know when somebody's leaving the bed, have used this, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It notifies when somebody leaves the bed. And the idea is that we can hopefully either prevent a fall or learn why somebody's leaving the bed so often, maybe in the night or early in the morning. But yeah, this has been a huge help in a lot of the short-term settings, or with people who shouldn't be up and moving and walking around. And even in memory care at night, sometimes the staff will use this to see how many times somebody might be getting up in the middle of the night, who otherwise might not say anything. So that's that. The ring that I mentioned will live here. I don't have a ring paired right now, but again, the idea is that, the ring can give you all these health metrics. We literally just released this a couple months ago, so it's still in development, but this is a little teaser here. It'll just live here and can notify the staff when something meaningful happens. But everything's managed from this portal here. So
Mike, we got a couple of questions here in the chat.
yeah, go ahead.
So while you're talking about the ring, I'm gonna circle back to the question that came up. Are the services compatible with protocols like Zigbee, Z-Wave, Matter, and is the wearer similar, or is the wearable similar to the Ultra Human ring? How are its charging and battery duration, etc.?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the answer is we are working on the Matter thing. We haven't made it Matter compatible yet. The ring and the camera. The same thing with Z-Wave, but we have the battery thing kind of squared away. It's like between 5 and 7 days, the battery life. And then, you know, we're always looking at other ring manufacturers to see, because they just keep building new rings as time passes. It's kind of a booming manufacturing market. So I'm sure in the next few years, better, longer lasting rings will come out. I know they've been talking about kinetic rings where basically the ring will charge with motion or will stop in non-motion and save battery life to extend battery life and like basically wake back up when the individual's in motion. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
And then on the videos, Natalie asked, how is privacy of the resident handled?
So privacy of the resident is handled by consent. So in this portal here, this is for an assisted living member, you know, a residential setting. Anytime we install a camera, we either get consent from the resident themselves or the POA. And we never just install the camera forcingly. So that's how we handle the privacy thing. There's no live view. So like in this portal, I can't go anywhere and see a live view at any of these cameras. The only live view that you get is when you're configuring the view. And you get like a very short snapshot of the camera. And this is basically to set up, you know, avoidance zones or places that you don't want to detect falls. But outside of that, there's no live view and there's no audio. And that's why we've been allowed to put this in basically every state we went into. So
it only kicks on when they fall or exit the bed?
exactly. Yeah, and that's the only time. The consumer device is a little different. So at home, there is the capability for live view and two-way audio, but you know, for obvious reasons, there's not care staff there. There's not, you know, maybe you want to say, hey, mom, you okay? Something like this.
Okay, and then Robert asked, what happens if a resident falls using the bathroom?
So we don't put cameras in the bathroom. I think that's why we've kind of emphasized the ring. We want to put an accelerometer in it to try to detect falls without the camera. But the accelerometer technology currently isn't that great. If any of you have used an Apple Watch and tried to use their fall detection accelerometer, it's hypersensitive, right? Like if you're active, it might trigger a false alert. But you know, that's one way we're trying to look at falls in the bathroom. The other thing is there's another company that we're partnering with that has a radar solution for the bathroom and basically can detect when somebody is motionless but has vitals for a certain amount of time, and the vitals sensing is FDA approved. So yeah, we're excited to work with them and then be able to cover the bathroom. But you know, as of now, we don't recommend putting cameras in the bathroom. There are a few customers that have put them in the bathroom. And really the way that they use it is to blur these, you know, these fall clips. But you know, these are people that are super high fall risk and you know, they're having huge issues with. So
Okay, and then another question, how are caregivers notified? Will they only be notified if they return to a dedicated workstation?
yeah, that's a good question. So we have a whole schedule that we could build in here for each building or even, you know, each floor. Once the schedule is built, you put all the receivers in who are the staff that you want to get notified. We could do email, text, and phone call, as well as a push notification. And you know, it depends on how the staff operate. Like if they have cell phones, maybe we use cell phones in the building. If they have a nurse call system that they want us to integrate to, sometimes we'll do that. It really depends on what the preferred method is and, what the existing, because every building is a little bit different, so.
So from the management side, the ED side, let's say, can they go in and pick who's on staff that night?
So they could do that. The other thing that's a lot easier is just to put the schedules in. So typically the ED knows like who's on morning shift, who's on afternoon shift, who's on, and then sometimes what we have them do is for 24/7, we'll have a nurse phone. So when we go to rules for the 24/7 shift, maybe we put one of our contacts as the nurse phone. So maybe Mike Link is really just the nurse phone, and we know that phone is always going to be there. So that's one of the contacts that gets notified, and then you could put you could put a weekday morning shift or a weekday evening shift, something like this, but that's typically what we recommend.
Right, but if you have a no-show and somebody fills in, you can go in and plug that person in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Another good question from Robert. If the caregivers assign multiple residents, does the notification indicate who fell and exactly where?
It does. Yeah. So when the notification comes in, let's see, in events history, you'll get the room number, and then also like the room name. You could also do it by resident name. So let's see. I mean, here it's just room number, but let's go here to groups, manage hub. So you could do it also by resident name, but yeah, sometimes they don't want to do resident names because they want it to be like more so anonymous, but yeah, it'll tell you when the notification came in, which room, when the user acknowledged it. So you can even see when staff acknowledged it. So
Okay. Let's see. I think, well, another question. From Boyd, in a state like Washington, it's illegal to install camera on common areas. How do you get around that? And you mentioned Farmington Square, Beaverton, 20%, 7% fall rate reduction. How are the cameras preventing falls?
good question. We haven't installed the cameras typically in the common areas. They're typically for the resident rooms because if somebody's in a common area, it's very likely that they'll get found when they fall. And a lot of the buildings that we go into, they have cameras in common areas, but yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we haven't went into the common areas in Washington yet, so that's probably why. And then in terms of Farmington Square, Beaverton, the 27% fall rate reduction is basically how many falls they're having on a monthly basis. We track pre and post KamiCare. But really the idea is that they weren't seeing the majority of their falls. So think like, every time somebody falls, they go find them and they have to document that. At Farmington Square, the majority of the falls that they were seeing weren't true falls. Maybe someone lowered themselves to the ground intentionally or got back up. And they were able to like weed out the good majority of falls that they were having to like document with the state. And yeah, it was fairly big reduction.
And Robert's got another good question. Do the cameras detect in darkness and nighttime?
They do, yeah. I'll have to have the team record more falls in the dark, but this is what the view would look like. So it's pretty clear. The other thing is that the videos here delete automatically after a year. So you can see these are from October of 2023. Basically October of 2024, they'll delete, they'll like self-destruct. But yeah, they do. We have night vision, day vision.
Okay. I think we're caught up on questions.
Cool. Yeah, and you kind of open the floor. Like this is basically what the system is. If people have more questions, feel free to and also would love to hear from the group here based on their experience if there's cool things that they'd like to see a senior living technology do, or would like to see Kami do with the AI. No, that's cool too. I can keep talking. Yeah, so I think, that's pretty much it. I don't want to like rehash too much, but all the reporting is right in the dashboard. You can control it remotely. But the idea is like a lot of these senior technologies, and I think the reason KamiCare is kind of paving the way a bit is a lot of this stuff is super expensive. So um, you know, I definitely urge you to like go take a look at the marketplace and explore different technologies and see what's available. There's a lot of interesting things going on with radar and infrared and LiDAR and robotics. I think the problem is a lot of it's very capital intensive. So the cool part is the cost, which I think answers your question, Robert, is it's $45 a month for the subscription. So and as you start to look at these technologies in the market, it's about maybe a third or a fourth of the cost, monthly cost of some of these other technologies. So a lot of these tech solutions will range from like $100 to $200 a month, and then the capex will be anywhere from 150, $200 a room, all the way up to like $1,000 a room.
Would
And
you would
that's
you
per
mind
family.
would you mind going through like a 10 bed like scenario? Like so,
What if-
yeah. Or
Yeah,
like yeah,
100%.
so a 5 bedroom, type of scenario, and the cost to install and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you're able to.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I might even have a sheet so you can see. KamiCare quoting. Yeah, let's take a look. Can you guys see this sheet here?
Yep.
So, okay. So let's say fall detection. So it's $45 a month for the fall detection and bed exit feature. For fall detect only, it's $35. So for a 10 bed, you're looking at $450 a month or $5,400 a year. And then for a 10 bed for just fall detection, $4,200 a year. The hardware itself, 3,500 bucks. Really, we are in the hardware business, so and maybe as a part of this, if anybody is interested in purchasing some devices, just send me an email and be like, hey, this was so and so from Burns event, and we'll basically just give you the hardware for free if you want to install these. As long as there's some form of commitment, right? Typically it's a 1 year commitment. So it's the 5,400 or the 4,200, depending on which services you want. And then yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And then we do give discounts on prepayment for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. So if you want to get a 1 year, we'll give you the first month free. 2 year, we'll give you I think it's 3 months free, and then 3 years is 6 months free. So
Is there a particular reason why you put 35 units for 10 beds? Is that like the typical, like there's like three
oh, I'm
per
sorry.
set?
I don't know why I was thinking 35. Yeah, 10 beds. 10 beds, 10 cameras. Typically it's 1 camera per bed. Yeah, apologies. I've been up since 5 a.m. this morning, so it's been a little bit of a long day. $1,000 for the hardware. And it's Wi-Fi enabled, so as long as there's a connection, it'll connect to the existing Wi-Fi.
But I mean, there's gonna be some cost on like setting it up, is it something where like a typical IT shop can come in that, does like, cameras and stuff like that? Are these wired, so that you have to have a hard line to it, stuff like that?
No. So everything is DIY. Basically, we've taken the DIY approach from the home security business and baked it into this product. So I think we have a slide over here on it. a new deck here, so just give me some.
I mean, just off the cuff, the price point is, I would say 1/10 of others in the market. Similar. Yeah.
100%. I guess this kind of covers it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, super simple install. I mean, it took me, before this, I set up a device and I was going to do a live demo, but the team didn't enable the device yet. But it took me probably 10 minutes to set it up total. That included time taking it out of the box and plugging it in. So it's a standard outlet that you plug it into, and it's USB-C to USB. So this is what like the camera looks like. It's pretty, pretty small, pretty simple. There's a USB port in the back, a USB-C port in the back. It's pan tilt zoom, so you can go, up, down, side to side remotely. And then there's like a bracket and a thing that you twist it into. Let's see if it's here.
Sounds like a Ring camera.
Exactly. Super simple. But that's how we wanted to do it, because really the challenge, so there's a bracket here basically. So there's a screw. This thing goes in the bracket on the wall, and it gets mounted, and you can kind of do it remotely. But yeah, so I've been in the space a while, so I kind of knew the problem, like the cost to set these things up was very, prohibitive. So yeah, it's the reason why we're doing it this way. But yeah, standard outlet, no hard wiring required. Existing Wi-Fi can be used. We have Raceway that we provide to make it look clean. And we do have a PoE device coming out. I think at the end of May, we're getting like 2,700 of them. So, there are some buildings we'll go into where it's like new construction, or there's been some kind of building mod, or the company says, hey, we want to have PoE in the room because there's other things that we want to do with the PoE and we could split it. So they'll just have us do the PoE devices. I mean, we have a legacy PoE device.
What is a PoE?
Power over Ethernet. So like Wi-Fi hardwired into the thing. But yeah, this is the PoE device that we have today. But we've moved away from this one. We use the new one. So yeah,
So these are low voltage then?
come again?
These are low voltage?
Correct. Yeah,
How many volts?
that's a good question. I'll have to look at the spec sheet. Yeah, I could share this with you guys here. And then this two-way audio, this is the consumer device. Basically has the same specs as the commercial device. But it just has audio, and it also has this night light feature. The commercial device doesn't have two-way audio, and it doesn't have this night light. It's just completely white. So
So looks like it's 5 volts. That's what the power adapter is.
yep.
2 amps. Interesting. And just USB-C is what you said that was?
USB-C, so USB-C, and the adapter that comes within the box, it's completely attached, so there's not like a brick that you plug it into. We found that when we gave the power cord and the brick separate in the assisted living setting, that the nurses would pull the cord out and then use the brick to charge their phone. So we've made it all one piece, so there's not that temptation to use the power.
All right, we have more questions here. Let's see. So you don't need Cat 5 or 6, just the 120 outlet. How about exterior cameras?
We do have exterior cameras, not that run the fall detection model, but we're looking at that. I feel like slip and fall is a big issue for a lot of commercial real estate outside. You can't use the fall detection on existing Ys or Ring cameras, but that would be pretty cool. I think that's the last question that came here.
Did we catch Natalie's question? Is that per camera?
So it's per camera, yeah, so it's typically it's one camera per room. If you need a second camera, we'll charge $20 for the second camera. But typically there's not a need for a second camera, so.
Okay. Had a lot of good questions tonight.
Yeah, this is great. This is typically the questions that we get, so. Thanks for being an active audience.
Okay, another question from Robert. If notification is sent to the families, then would each camera have individual notification settings?
Yes, and so typically in the commercial setting, so assisted living, memory care, residential setting, we don't have the families notified because they aren't the ones responding to the fall. And it typically doesn't make sense, but for the home setting, it can be customized, so each family member can get notified. Let me share this here. You guys can see what the consumer version looks like. So this is the consumer version. Looks and feels very similar, like the camera itself, set up to plug in all the things. Cami Home app, you need to download the app. When you click add, the camera just pops up. Once it's connected to Wi-Fi, you'll enable it to detect falls, and when it does, you'll get the notification on your phone. So, like you're asking, can you customize it for family member emergency? Like you could have any emergency contact get this notification, and then we'll see the review of the fall clip, and you'll also get a call from Cami saying, hey, looks like so-and-so fell at your house. Are they okay? And if you don't pick this call up, it escalates to emergency services, basically. So, in lieu of being in home, we have this emergency escalation because we know a caregiver isn't going to come respond to mom who might be living alone. But hopefully that answers your question.
Interesting. Great stuff. Do we have more questions? All right, Mike, anything else you want to show us about this? Oh, here we
I
go.
don't. Oh, is there another question?
Yeah, two-way communication. So residents respond yes or no, I'm fine.
Okay. So there's a group that we work with that's enabled this for one customer of theirs. We've been looking at doing it for more of our customers, but then you get into the weeds of two-way audio, which then can get a little dicey with some states in terms of their camera laws, because as soon as you start doing two-way audio, for them, it becomes a privacy concern, and then your AI camera is looped into all regular cameras. So we haven't went there yet, but there's a number of groups that we're talking to about doing this. So, and not choking heartaches yet. We will be able to detect abnormalities in heart rate with the ring. So that'll be exciting because we'll be able to detect heart rate variability, sleep, blood O2 stress, but not just yet. Diabetic seizures in the future likely with the ring, but the diabetes things is kind of hard to detect with the ring. Yeah, so
Good questions.
yeah, super good questions. And then I think I dropped my contact in the chat, but feel free to reach out. This is my contact information. I could share this deck with Vern, and he could pass it on, and feel free to call me, text me, say, hey, I was at the event and I have questions, or have an operator or something like this. Yeah.
Cool. All right, any other questions? I knew Robert would have another. All right, good job.
That's a good one. Firmware updates are all OTA, like over the air. And you can also do it directly here. So anything that needs to be updated, it'll pop up here. You say update firmware, can click update, it'll do it automatically. And we could also update the firmware, and everything is included. So you buy it as is, and the $45 per month, any update will be included. The only thing that's not included is like a new feature. For example, if we do like some kind of in-room check or this or that, the ring will be an additional charge. But any kind of like improvements to the existing is included.
Good. Okay, looks like Robert's out of questions. All right. Well, last chance for questions. Anybody else? Mike, I appreciate you coming on and sharing this. I thought we'd have more people show up. We certainly had a lot of responses, but this is recorded. It will be on our website, so people can look this up and see what's going on. I'm glad you put your contact info there on the screen, because the chats unfortunately don't show up in the recordings. All right.
Got it. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I want to remind everybody to download the chat screen with that little icon there. And we wrap up our meeting with haves and wants. So this is an opportunity. If you have anything or want anything that you want to share with the group or need from the group, then this is an opportunity to ask or tell. Do we have any haves or wants?
I'll go.
All right.
I want Vern for us to find one for me, so I can finally have a assisted living home. So there's my want to you. My have, I'm happy to talk to anybody about my process if you're new to this. So feel free to reach out. My other want is, if you know about assisted living homes anywhere in the country, anyone that's trying to sell, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Moosh. Anyone else with the have or want? Let's see. Robert put on a question. Any tips or recommendations for retrofitting sprinklers on existing homes? Yeah, I'll speak to that, Robert. It's gonna depend on your state. So my recommendation would be find a local sprinkler guy that knows what your state requires. And, the best kind of guy for that is going to be the smaller operator, as opposed to your large facility guy. We've got a guy here called Mr. Sprinkler. And it's just him and his son, and they got their hands full. So, and that said, he did a presentation for us a year or so ago, and his information was on there, and you're welcome to look that up and maybe reach out to him. But because it is state specific, you should just talk to a local guy.
In our area, we've contacted 6 local companies, and 5 pretty much said we've gotten out of the residential scene. And definitely for retrofits, they said absolutely not. We'll do new builds, but not retrofits. It's not worth their time and effort. So it's almost like any new facility that we want to expand on, we're going to have to build from scratch. So that's a time commitment. That's a capital expenditure to build a new facility.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, but Robert, if that's a state requirement, you're running into a barrier where you can't find a vendor or someone to do it for you, then how do you get around that? Can't you like get some kind of exemption from the state? I mean, if there's no way for you to do it, what are you supposed to do?
We're in the process of getting a waiver where our fire marshal said that in lieu of sprinklers, if we do oh, what was it called? A, Something about like a fire detection with the pole, the pull cords, lights, more than just smoke detectors, but like the official commercial method of like triggering an alarm, self-closing doors, all that stuff that would alleviate the sprinkler retrofit. But I'm waiting on the confirmation. We had to send them here. This is the code that says that we are allowed to do it. Can you review that code and let us know if you agreed and give us that waiver so that we can submit this to licensing? But if they say no, then we're out of luck. We'll just stay with 6. But obviously, it's kind of hard to make the numbers work at 6.
Yep, I'm in the same problem here in Washington. Oregon is the same problem too. I messaged you, six bed cap. The math doesn't work with the cost of the houses.
Yeah. I mean, we've done some workarounds on some of our properties where, they're all paid off at this point, but it's just the opportunity cost. You can live in it prior to converting it into a care home, and then you can get the capital gains. You just can't sell it to yourself.
Natalie, did you have one?
Yeah, I was just going to say, hey, Mooj, we had met at the conference back in October. We had lunch together, and I remember our conversation, and I'm going to reach out to you to talk about New Jersey business here. So I'll get in touch with you. I've got your phone number and your email. See if there's anything here in New Jersey that you're interested in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. Yes, I do remember you. Just a little bit low lighting, so I wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah,
but
well, it's almost 10:30 at night here, so it's a little bit dark around me. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We still got sunlight here. It's in the West Coast. So thank you.
Yeah.
Take care. Looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Natalie, I'm sorry I missed that you were from Jersey when I made my comment about that we didn't have anyone on the East Coast. So thank you very much for staying up and joining us.
Well, I've been using this time to educate myself on so many different things, syndication and building, and so I look at every opportunity to just keep expanding my knowledge on the business and the industry, and until I can eventually get to where I have my homes, because I don't want just one, I want multiple, but getting that first one is the hardest. So I'm just taking every opportunity to learn what I can.
Well, good for you. Okay, any other Hampshire ones? Well, I think we will wrap this up. Probably the first time I've wrapped up early ever. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And again, if you want to refer back to this, it'll be on the website, dollar.com. And we look forward to seeing you in future meetings. And I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thank you, Brian. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Take care. Good night.
All right.